what I want to do in this session is create some controls for an expression, just using a simple slider rather than having to animate individual paths. It's going to open up a character which I've already created. I've got everything on separate layers. I've got the eyes, some eyelid masks, so I want to be able to bring this black line down so that it closes the eye and covers the pupil, and that means that, and what I want to do is also create a slider which I can move from left to right and open and close the eyes. So first of all, what I'm going to do is take the eyes and the eyelids, and I'm going to go to layer and pre-compose them. Just going to leave the settings of move all attributes into the new composition and open the new composition. I'm just going to call the composition eyes comp. So in here we've got the eyelids, the skin coloured parts which are there in order to cover the pupils, and also the eyelashes. I'm going to make the duration a second, because we've got 25 frames per second. I want it to be an odd number, so I've got a frame in the middle which will be our default position. And I'm going to open up the masks here, and in here I'm going to take the mask for the right eyelashes and call that eye right, and then the one on the left I'm going to rename to eye left, and I'm going to key these two and pop in some keys there. And then what I'm going to do, move the time slider to the end, so I've got my default position in the middle. I'm going to move the time slider to the end, and then I'm going to move these eyelashes down in that position. I'm going to grab this one there, move that one down there. So I'm going to change the shape of these. So that's the closed position. So if I move the time slider left and right, and then the more open position, I'm just going to grab them and move them up to there. Just change the shape of this slightly. To about there. Again, change the shape. So now the eyelids, the eyelashes at least, open and close like that. I'm going to do the same thing for the lids, which I'm using as a to mask the pupils. I'm going to turn on mask path. I'll click those so it creates a key in the middle. I'm just going to simply drag this part down to there, so it follows the eyelashes in order to mask the pupil when the eyes are closing, and then I'm going to drag it up with the eyelashes so it follows that. So now it opens and closes like that. So now if I go back to my comp, eyes comp there has, you'll see that it's changed to being a second long, and if I move it left and right, then it means that it will that it'll open and close the eyes. I'm then going to have to create just going to create a null where I can put my effects. So I'm going to create a new null object. I'm just going to call this control, and on that I'm just going to add a slider control, which double click on there. I'm just going to rename this one. Oh, let's have a look. Actually, I'll just leave it as it is. So I've got a slider on my null object here, because eventually I want to be able to add in all the different controls of the face to one object, so I can just select one thing and animate all the different component parts. So there's my slider control for the null object. I'm going to go back down to the eyes. I'm going to time remap on, and then I'm going to alt click. Time remap, incidentally, is Control Alt and T. What that does is it means that the eyes, you can change the timing of the eyes by changing the timing of moving the keys around. You can increase and decrease the length of time, slow things down, speed things up, etc. That's what it's normally used for. But if I press Alt and click on the time remap path, then what it means is I can then get an expression there, which is the time remap. I can go back to my controller here for the time slider, which is connected to this controller, and I can take the pick whip and drag, and I can drop it over the slider. And what that will enable me to do is I can then open and close the eyes using the time slider. If I click on here, go to the end, I'm going to divide this by 100 so that when it goes to 0 to 100, it's a bit easier to control. And there, that is the basics of creating opening and closing eyes. So now what I can do, go back to my control, I can key this in this position, I can move the controller, or we can move the time slider to here. I can just drop the eyes down and key it again, and it means, whoops, just put the key in the wrong place. I just go back into here. So I'm going to key the time slider at this position, go back to here, and if I key it again, and I'm going to just change it there. I can change the value, and I can change the way that the eyes move in the composition. So I can just lower and raise the eyelids here. And every time I now move this time slider, it should add in a key. So it's a very simple way of, I can just adjust these keys in here. It's a very simple way of opening and closing closing the eyes, and you can apply it to all sorts of things, mouth shapes and various different parts of the face, in order to be able to more easily animate the face.